We have one more presentation, then I will go into our panel. I know that we're strapped for time, but I think our panelists have spent their time to research this, so let's take the time and enjoy what they've prepared for us. So Steve Martin is a Senior Business Development Manager at BBC News. He will be joining us via Zoom, so I hope we can connect. I mean, we just spoke about technology, so it should, show up seamlessly in the next 10 seconds. And then after that, we'll call our two other panelists. There we go. Steve, can you hear us?
I can. Hello.
Fantastic.
A very good day
hi,
to you.
Hi. What is it, Obake? What
I don't know who's in the room there, but I understand you had Your Excellency, former president earlier, and other friends of the BBC. George Tuamasi, I know, was there speaking earlier. It's good to be in touch with everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, and then we also have our Honorable Minister of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations here. So from the gateway of Africa, we say Obake and Akwaba. And please go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Honourable Minister, and all other media professionals. All protocols observed, of course. I just wanted, before I start, to say I'm sorry I couldn't be in the room with you today. I am due to be in Accra in 10 days' time, and indeed my Ghanaian visa has just come through. So I will do everything I can not to say anything today that puts that at risk. I wanted to talk about the cost to innovate today, because we cannot outspend some of our international competitors. The BBC is a big organisation, but we can't outspend Netflix or Amazon, and we don't have the resources of some of our international competitors in the broadcast field either. However, we can all outthink them. We can do positive work which is focused on audiences, on markets, to be creative and respond to audience needs. So today I wanted to talk about that, the importance of that, and what we need to put in place, to my mind, to ensure that we can think creatively and we can serve audiences well. And I understand we're going to be talking about technology as well and platforms, and that's all great, so plenty of time to do that as well. So a little bit about the BBC. It's a big organisation in terms of its impact around the world. In terms of international broadcasters, it is number one. We serve 453 million people around the world every week. This is a weekly number, by the way. You'll know a lot of data, especially in the digital world, is published as a monthly number. We do our numbers in the BBC on a weekly basis for various public service reasons. 453 million around the world coming to the BBC every week. 418 million of those are coming to us for news, and I work in the BBC News service, so that's a really vital part of our public service offer globally. And out of that, 313 million is to BBC World Service, which you'll know as a radio service on 101.3 FM in Accra, 104.7 in Takoradi. I had a great pleasure a few years ago in launching that service. And thanks to our friends at the NCA for allowing us to broadcast in Ghana and serve audiences directly. We also provide a lot of content via our partner network, and I'm very proud to be working with all the leading groups in Ghana in providing BBC content via our partners. Very recently, we've launched a new youth-focused piece of audio. Every night you can hear that on YFM in Kumasi, Takoradi and Accra. It's called What in the World, and it's 7 p.m. on YFM. We also measure our trust ratings around the world, and globally we try to be the leader for trust, for reliability and for independence, and we track these numbers year on year in a basket of markets around the world. I'm pleased that we are number one against our international competitors on all those counts. You will know as well as we do that trust in media organizations, in all kinds of organizations, is really under threat around the world, and these numbers have come down for all organizations in recent years. We track them, we're down to sort of 62, 63 for trust and reliability, and a measure of perception of independence is down to 51%, but the BBC still leads the pack in all those markets. I have to say the numbers coming out of African countries are a lot more optimistic than the global average that you can see on this chart. And while we don't have specific data for Ghana, I hope you'll forgive me if I show some numbers for Nigeria, which is the best kind of proxy we've got for West Africa. This is from a survey done by the Reuters Institute. It's published every year, and I highly recommend it. It's a digital news report. It's freely available. It's published openly, and you can see this. And it gets quite granular in the markets that it covers. So in Nigeria, for example, it looks at trust ratings of all kinds of media organizations, including broadcast and print. And right up there at the top end, the most trusted source of news is BBC News. Number 2 in that market is Channels Television, which is a partner that we work very closely with. If you've seen a TV show called Gist Nigeria, that's a co-production that I organised with Channels TV. It's a programme that neither of us could have made alone, and it does really good business for audiences in Nigeria. You can see it on GH1 as well in Ghana. So number 1 in that market, but just take a look at those numbers on the left-hand side. They're right up in the 80s and 90s, much higher than the global average. So trust in media remains high in West Africa, and I think we should remember that and draw hope and inspiration from that. Audiences trust their favorite radio stations, their favorite TV channels, their favorite digital media platforms for the content that they receive from them. And in a world where social media is the least trusted platform of all, we can retain faith in what we do at locally. So the confidence to innovate, I believe it's built on a number of solid foundations. I want to touch on a few of these today. So values. We have a set of values at the BBC, and I'm sure you do at your organisation as well. I'll tell you why ours are important to us. I want to talk about purpose as well. BBC is a purpose-led organisation. We have a strategy, we have a global strategy, but also one in the UK where we are the public service broadcaster. And I want to give you a little trip around the BBC and around the UK and our services there today. And then finally, just a little bit about aligned interests. If you're a commercial organisation, this will differ from a publicly funded organisation, but aligned interests, getting those right, understanding those and communicating those to your teams is an important foundation for being able to be creative and innovate. So let's talk about those. These are the BBC's values, and if you work at the BBC, you have a badge like this. And lets me in through the front door at the BBC when I go into my office. And on the back of it, the BBC's values are printed to remind us all what they are and why they're important. And these won't be the same for every organisation, but we have these for our teams. And we make sure that everybody in the BBC knows them, understands why they're important, and then can be measured against them when we do our appraisal work. So we have every 6 months we have a conversation with our teams, and we map their job goals and their career goals against the BBC values, so everything is properly aligned. So audiences, first of all, we say that audiences are at the heart of everything we do at the BBC. It gives us license to do a lot of audience research, and because our audiences in the UK pay for the BBC, it helps us deliver a service that is valued by everybody. We say that creativity is the lifeblood of our organisation, and forgive me for repeating myself, we can't outspend everybody, but we can outthink them, and it's the value and the quality of our ideas that drives the value that people perceive in the BBC's output. Trust is the foundation of the BBC. We are independent, we are impartial, and we are truthful. And those are unshakable standards that we hold ourselves to and we hold our teams to in the way that we work, and indeed in the way that we work as teams to each other. It's not just about trust as perceived by the audience, it's about working in a trusted way within the organisation. We also respect each other. We're kind, We're a diverse team around the world, as you can imagine, and we champion inclusivity. And I think that comes through not only in the way we work as teams, but in the output you see and hear from the BBC. Accountability is really important. If you're publicly funded, then of course you need to demonstrate that you're spending public money wisely. So we aim to be accountable, and we aim to deliver quality work, high quality work, and make sure that every British pound that we invest in BBC content delivers for audiences, and that we can be measured against that. And finally, the BBC has many different arms, but it really comes together when different parts of the BBC work together. So we always work on common strategies where we can. We learn, we collaborate together, and we do things together. We have a phrase we say, which is great things happen when we work together at the BBC. Thing we do, and everybody who works in our organisation understands them and is mapped against them, is tracked against them in the progress that we make together. So values is the first thing. I want to talk about purpose now. You will know the BBC for its news output. And because we are independent, because we are impartial, we can act solely in the interests of the audience. We don't have to respond to any government. We don't have to respond to any commercial imperative. So we can put the focus of the audience at the center of what we do and pursue truth with no agenda. And in a world which is divided, in a world where trust ratings are suppressed, this is something audiences really appreciate. Now, I'm going to play you a video, but actually, JB Alotti in the room there, I think, has the video. This is video number 1, JB. I hope you've got that there and can play it in. We can watch that together. I'm not seeing it or hearing it. Is it playing?
Drive the change.
You sold to one of our informants a child for 300,000.
No. We are coming for you.
This is mob justice.
When there are secrets that need to be told.
Their managers sexually abused them, and this has gone on for decades.
When there are wrongs that need to be put right.
They're still firing, they're still shooting.
Our journalists risk it all to expose the truth and help drive the change.
You sold to one of our informants a child for 300,000.
No.
Search BBC Africa Eye and uncover the stories that matter.
We have a wealth of fossil sites, but perhaps none are quite so famous as this, the Jurassic Coast.
Yeah, we might find that kid who's got the raw talent, who's in a back street in Preston somewhere. That'd be amazing.
Look, the thing is...
We're moving back to Barry.
What?!
I'm just trying to figure out a way to make him stay in Liverpool.
I'm in Shetland.
You went home?
That's it.
You were born here, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Born and raised in Birmingham, yeah. Think you'll find him one of the good ones? It's not a good idea to look at Tommy Shelby the wrong way.
We transmit throughout the whole of West London. Obviously, once you get to Shepherd's Bush, it gets a bit, white noisy.
So where are you from, then?
The Glens of Antrim.
Lovely part of the world.
You know, we don't come to London very much.
Oh, where do you come from, then?
If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Glasgow.
Ultimate
ain't gonna celebrate me, you ain't gonna celebrate my life then. You get out of my pub.
You'll always be my home, my heart. I'll be with you wherever you are. You'll always be my home.
Thank you to JB for playing the videos. I couldn't see or hear them from here, but I understand that you've just seen both videos, 1 and 2. Well, you're ahead of me in the presentation as a result of that, which I think is a good thing. Saves time later. I want to talk about audiences first. I've talked about the BBC value of putting audiences at the heart of everything we do. So we do a lot of audience research, and we also do a lot of market research, because you'll understand my team isn't in Ghana all the time, and every market is different. So I just want to share a little bit of the audience and market analysis that we would do for example, Ghana, to help us understand how to serve audiences best within the context of the Ghanaian media landscape. So a couple of slides on this. For example, we will look at the television market. So the Ghana market is very interesting to me because it has relatively light touch regulation. So the market is broadly settled by commercial market forces. And this is what the Havas agency, the media buyers at Havas, say is the Ghanaian TV market by share of viewing. And it's, broadly half English and half local language, with one Hausa language TV channel making it into the top 20 there. And the BBC will look at this data, for example, to see which would be the most appropriate partners to work with. So you will know in Ghana we work with TV3. We work and have done since 1995 with our friends at Multimedia Group, ever since the launch of Joy 99.7. And we work with GH1 TV as well in the television space. And our friends at GBC host our FM transmitter site. So if you're from GBC, thank you for everything you do to help serve audiences in Ghana with the BBC. Also noticed, and I spotted this year, that YouTube is becoming a really important delivery platform in Ghana for long form and short form content. So more Ghanaians regularly use YouTube than the equivalent number of people in other markets, so higher than in Nigeria and higher than in Kenya as well. It's a fast growing part of the landscape, and no surprise then that a lot of the leading TV channels in Ghana are using YouTube to complement their broadcast platforms. You can see TV3, Adom, UTV, among others, have got large followings there, something up to, TV3 has got nearly 1 million subscribers to its YouTube channel. So that's becoming an increasingly important part of the landscape for anyone making video. And our friends at YFM have launched a TV channel called YTV on YouTube. So it's a YouTube first channel. Really interesting development there for the youth market. And people are watching that on mobile, but increasingly on smart TVs as well. And Ghana is ahead of the market on this, ahead of the rest of Africa. Really interesting to watch what's going on YouTube. The other analysis that we will do of market to look at the creative output, and we will recognize it's different in each market, but in Ghana we notice there's a lot of personality anchors, a lot of talk programming coming out of studios. I did a tour recently of some Ghanaian TV studios with some of you, and the studios get really well used, don't they? A lot of content being produced there. And there's a very competitive market we notice in Ghana for local news, particularly around election times, but at other times as well. A lot of reporters out in the field doing live view injects to live news programs. There's quite a lot of acquired content in the entertainment space. I noticed dubbed into local language as well. but very little homegrown documentary production we could spot. If we've missed what you're producing, then I'd love to see that, because that's something that we do at the BBC a lot, and it's a really important way of making content that has a long shelf life as well. The other thing about Ghanaian output that is very striking to media analysts like me working across many markets is the confidence and the glamour that comes across in the presentation. There are so many glamorous looking personality presenters fronting up your content in Ghana. That's great to see, and it's clear to me that if the BBC is to make content that works for audiences in Ghana, we will likewise have to front it up with strong personalities, key individuals that audiences can get to know and like. I'm not sure we're always that good at that at the BBC, to be honest, but clearly it's a key ingredient for cutting through in your market. This really struck me, and thanks to Bernard and Samuel for introducing me to the hairdressers. It's lovely to see locally made content in different African countries, and the ingenious way that this series has been produced in a real hair salon at the weekend when the salon was closed, written in-house, locally cast, local crew, local production, really superb. And I understand the first series was very successful, and there's a second series in production as well. Nice to see that. And the other great thing about this, I mean, just look at that screen grab. You know that's the hairdressers when it's on. The consistent yellow costume really cuts through in a competitive market. Lovely to see that. And the last thing I'm going to share with you is a little bit about the BBC strategy in the UK. You've seen the film already, so we won't play that again. But we're about delivering value for all, because in the UK, the BBC is paid for every home that has a television. You pay a TV license, and that's what funds us. So we have an obligation to make sure that everybody who pays for the BBC gets some value in return. And we have 3 pillars in that strategy. One we've talked about already, pursuing truth with no agenda. That's as important in the UK context as it is globally. The second is to bring people together. Our main TV channel, BBC One, is still the place that people go when there's a big national event, when there's a major news story. People will turn on the TV and we will watch together. And on a Saturday night, we have our shiny floor shows, Strictly Come Dancing. It's known as Dancing with the Stars around the world. Millions of people will watch that together at the same time, in sync, and then discuss it with their friends afterwards. And it's very unusual to have media that still has that unifying, pulling power. But we're very fortunate that the BBC has the scale and the credibility to deliver that in the UK on a week-to-week basis. And the third thing we do is we back homegrown storytelling. We put a lot of money into BBC content. For every pound that we invest in UK content, we measure that £2.63 of value is then derived in the UK economy. And we spend more than 50% of the BBC's investment outside London. That's more than double what the BBC, what other media houses will spend in the UK. So 20% is the main industry benchmark for out of London spend. The BBC goes up to 50%, and that is reflected on air and on screen, as you've seen in that video. Just so you've got a sense of UK geography, maybe some of you send your children to some of Britain's leading schools or universities. You may know your way around the country. This is what it looks like. And the film you've seen, the Made of Here film, includes clips of programs made in all these places around the UK. So wherever you live in the UK, the chances are there is a piece of BBC content that would have been made close to the places you know in your community. I won't play the video again. Final thing to share with you is about aligned interests. If you work in commercial media, you've got to align your clients' objectives with your audience need and with your own brand. And it's only when you get all of those 3 aligned that you hit the magic spot and everybody wins. In the BBC, we have a similar model, and it's this. It's about reach, because we genuinely believe that you add public value when you bring people into contact with BBC News content. It's about working efficiently and bringing in revenue where we can. And while our services are free in African countries, we have subscription services in some markets, and we have advertising around some BBC News content because we need to supplement our funding with commercial spend to operate as efficiently as we can. And finally, it's about reputation. So everything we do around reach, everything we do about commercial activity is only done in the framework of protecting the brand, making sure the trust that the BBC is held in is retained high, and that's about the BBC's global reputation. So reach, revenue, reputation, the 3 R's, that is our daily diet at BBC News.